Zabriel, welcome to Diaspora Food Stories. How are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Awesome. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And you are joining us from
Montgomery, Alabama.
Montgomery. What they say, what movie was that? The Gump. I think that was the middle of nowhere, one of my favorite movies. And it was like the Gump, the Gump. So,
Yeah,
so
that's what we call it.
is that what it is called, the Gump?
Yep, we all say that. The gump.
Wow. Now, is that originally home though?
No, it's not.
Okay, okay. Where
Home
is
is home is in Helena Island, South Carolina. So
Nice, nice. So I'm excited because we're going to be talking about Gullah Geechee and really just continue to amplify the culture, the heritage, and the foods. And so I'm so happy that you reached out to me about that. And then what's going on, right? Not only do we have climate change, but we have, just land that's being taken and from the Gullah Geechee people, and it's threatening the existence of the heritage of the culture going forward. So, looking forward to getting into all of that in this episode. But to start, like I always like to do, we want to let our listeners know a little bit about you. So, so share a little bit about who Zabriel is.
okay, my name is Zabriel Rivers, and I was born and raised on St. Helena Island, South Carolina, which is kind of the unofficial capital of the Gullah Geechee Nation.
Nice.
So I grew up with a very unique experience. I grew up going to the praise houses,
Mm,
being very close to the earth, growing our food, living in very tight-knit communities.
mm,
Everyone's related that lives nearby me. I'm a musician.
okay.
I study classical voice, and I work as a professional opera singer.
Okay. Can you give us a me, me, me?
Me, 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 me. Yes,
Nice.
I'm a countertenor, so I sing in like the alto range. I'm
Okay.
not as warmed up as I would like right now, but I sing high. I can get
Well,
up
you
there.
heard me. So,
I can get up there. Yeah, so I work as a professional opera singer. I've done a lot of, big venues and small venues and all kind of stuff like that. So,
Oh, wow.
and most recently, I transitioned to more of a cultural performing act.
Okay.
And I have a one-man show entitled A Gullah Evening with Zabriel. So I incorporate opera with Gullah spirituals. I'm a storyteller. I tell traditional Gullah stories.
Okay.
I teach about the language, and yeah, that's really my focus now. I transition out of I still do opera, but I transition more into doing my own thing as an entrepreneur.
I like that. So for those, since global listenership, break down Gullah Geechee 101 for us.
Yeah, so Gullah Geechee people are descendants of West Africa, specifically the country Sierra Leone and like Angola.
Hmm.
And we were brought to the Americas during slavery time, during the Atlantic slave trade.
Hmm.
And they specifically sought out Sierra Leoneans because we lived on what's called the Rice Coast in West Africa.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
when they discovered the lands on the southeast coast, they realized that that land was very viable for rice growing. So they needed slaves who could focus on that. So they brought the slaves from that area.
Hmm.
And because the land wasn't so inhabitable for the enslavers, we
Hmm.
were allowed to live on those islands in that part of the southeast coast alone. And that's how we retained our language, our culture, our customs and traditions, which still stands and lasts today.
Got you. And language. Let's talk a little bit about the language.
Yes, Gullah Geechee language is like a mixture of West African languages, English, and Creole.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's a very distinct language. We have our own syntax and other things that makes it unique. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
Now, in terms of growing up, what were some of, traditions that you held on to and that the family really instilled? And then did you find, and this is just, it could be common, right? That
Mhm.
as you become an adult, you're like, you know what, I'm going to do me. I'm going to not, necessarily uphold the culture sometimes. But then when you become an adult and you get out in the world and it's like, okay, I want to maintain the language, or I want to do this. So how was that instilled in you as you were growing up?
Yes, for example, I spoke Gullah Geechee all the time with my family and friends growing up. And then what happens with most of us as we get to like middle school, high school. And
Mm-hmm.
because Beaufort, South Carolina, the town where I'm from, St. Helena Island into Beaufort, South Carolina, that town is integrated a lot with military families because
Okay.
we have a military base on Paris Island and things like that. So we end up being integrated in middle and high school with other people from different races and cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So we're made to feel like we need to suppress our accent. We need to slow down. We need to, kind of speak more, standard English.
Right.
So that kind of brings that shame or that embarrassment. I would hate to use that word, but it kind of brings that out in us sometimes. So we kind of suppress.
Okay.
But as we get older, as we learn about how special and unique our experience is,
Mhm.
I think that's what makes us want to come back and share that and preserve our culture.
Wonderful. And then let's talk about the food.
Yes, we have a lot of food. And as I've been doing a lot of studying and performing, I realized that it ties a lot into West African food.
Okay.
So I know in West Africa, they have callaloo
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we have collard greens, which is kind of
Mm-hmm.
the same thing. And they have jollof rice in Sierra Leone and Nigeria. I know they argue about who has the best jollof rice. And we have what's called red rice.
Yeah.
And it's kind of similar, just theirs is spicy and ours is more of a sweet base.
Okay.
But it's pretty much the same recipe and it tastes very good. I love it. It's very popular
Mm-hmm.
in our culture. That's a lot of different Southern foods, traditional Southern foods that we have. But those are the main two dishes. A lot of rice dishes,
Okay.
of course.
Seafood.
Seafood, our low country boil is very famous.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much, so much. Yeah.
Wow. So then going back to what you're doing now in terms of cultural storytelling, tell us about that and how you're bringing it all together. And when did you ever, like you were saying, when you get to middle school, there's that part where you're being teased. And so now you don't, necessarily want to eat, can I have pizza instead of this or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be? Did you find yourself drifting away and then drifting back?
Yes, I have. I
Okay.
remember at one point in middle school, I wanted to go vegetarian,
Okay.
just being influenced by other people,
Mhm.
but we have such a unique culture. So it's very important that we hold on to those things. That's why I make sure I got my recipes from my mom that was passed down from her mom.
Mm.
And I make sure that I, try to spread that information. And as far as storytelling, when I grew up, I remember seeing like very popular Gullah Geechee acts that we still know today. They will come and tour and come to our schools and share these stories with us.
Mm.
And stories that I would hear from my grandmom and my great grandmom. And I started to remember those stories and write them down. And now I start to share them as
Okay.
I tour my show.
Wonderful. So give us a little sort of preview or so, a taste of the show.
Okay, I can share a piece of the story. You want a piece of the
Okay.
story for you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so I explained, where the Gullah Geechee people are from as I did.
Mm.
And there's a story I can tell it as fast. I can kind of speed up for you. Um, Long ago in West Africa, in Sierra Leone, lived a man who had four sons, and his wife was pregnant with the fifth son. And he did as he normally did. He packed his provisions to go hunting.
Mhm.
And he called for his sons and he said, "Come here, children. Take
Mm.
una food in your hand. Una going pon way down yonder for hunt for food to yam up. And take your foot in your hand means to get ready, and yam up in Gullah Geechee means to eat."
Okay.
So as the sons were leaving to go help their father hunt, the mother stopped and said, "Po mammy needed children help in the rice field. Me can't do things like addition of that day no more."
Mm.
So the father allowed the sons to stay behind and help the pregnant mother with things around the house. Well, long story short, the father goes, they watch him go hunt, and he never returns. So one day the fifth baby is born, and it's a boy, of course. And his first words were, "Where is Una Fata?" Which is, "Where is my father?"
Mm.
And that was the question that prompted the mother and reminded them that the father had been missing when he went hunting.
Mm.
So they sent the four boys behind him. And while they were on that journey, they all revealed, each son, each of the four sons revealed a secret power that they possessed, which helped them find their father. And when they did, he came back home. He was very proud of his sons. He threw a party in the village, and all the villagers went in. He instructed them to kill the fattest cow.
Okay.
And when they do that, he wanted them to cut the tail off and bring it to him. So when they did, he skinned it and cured it and washed it and embroidered that cow's tail and attached it to a rod. And on the night of that party, he made an announcement that he would present that cowtail switch to the son who did the most work to bring him home. Well, the four older boys who revealed their special abilities fought over who they felt should have got the cowtail switch. And in the end, the father presented it to the baby.
Oh.
Yes, because it was the baby who remembered him, which prompted the four boys to go find him in the first place. So that story signifies how memory is very important in reserving our culture.
Mhm.
Because if we don't talk about our culture, we don't talk about our traditions and where we're from, life and outside forces can kind of erase that.
Right.
So it's very important to memorize and to uphold our traditions.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing. And so
Yeah.
speaking of that, there are some key members in the community, as many that are really keeping traditions alive, right? And it's very important, and those preservation methods that are being done. But we also know that there is a force out there that's trying to look at erasure and look at the land that's so valuable, right? So let's
Yes.
talk a little bit, unfortunately, about what is going on in Gullah Geechee culture in terms of just, I don't know if you want to call it a fight, a struggle, whatever you want to call it, but just what is going on to make sure that Gullah Geechee cuisine, culture, heritage keeps moving forward.
Yes, I would call it a fight. The
Okay.
Gullah Geechee people are on a constant fight to keep the Gullah Geechee nation rural.
Mm,
We don't want developers coming in and establishing businesses and private properties and building gates blocking us out.
mhm,
We don't want developers coming in and changing the environment with their building because that inherently blocks our traditions like
mm,
fishing and upholding our food and just our culture and our way of life. We want to still grow our food. We don't want to have to go to Walmart. So that is a constant fight. And I befriended a young lady from South Africa, and I was like, she at first she picked up on my accent. When I got comfortable with her, I started, saying some words and some slang. And she
mhm.
said, "Wow, it's just so weird that it's like you sound more African than me, and I'm from South Africa." And I said, "Wow." I said, "Yeah, I did notice that your accent sounds like a little English, like it's like Britain or something, So I started to share with her these things that's going on in the Gullah community.
Mhm.
And she just covered her mouth in surprise. And she said, "Do you believe that this is like the same things that are happening here in South Africa?"
Mm,
So that's why it's just so important because we're all connected.
right,
It's a
right.
constant fight to keep our land, preserve our land from developers.
And so what's the latest that's going on right now?
Yes, right now we still have developers who are reaching out to city council
Okay.
and they want to turn lands that are residential that Gullah Geechee people live on, and they want to turn it into commercial properties. And what that does is it raises the property values and the property taxes, and then the indigenous people cannot afford
Mhm,
that raised price. And it forces us to sell the land. A
mhm.
lot of times they say they sold grandma's house, or they sold it's
Yeah.
because we couldn't afford to keep up with the taxes
Mhm.
now that it's a private beach now. So that's the latest. We're constantly in court fighting and protesting against the change of our lands.
Wow. So there's how many islands would you say?
I would say about 10,000.
Oh, wow.
There are a lot of different because the land spans from Jacksonville, North Carolina,
Okay.
all the way down to Jacksonville, Florida.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so there are many different islands. I know there are about like 50 islands about where I'm from. Like we have the Fuskies, St. Helena, Hilton Head, Warsaw,
Mhm.
Dawtaw. It's just so many different islands on the coast.
Wow. So tell me about, are you family, mom and dad, families still on the island, St. Helena Island?
Yes, my whole entire family. The concept of neighbors was new to me when I went to college.
Oh, wow.
Everyone within miles and miles radius. We're
Okay.
related. We know each other. We know the land. The land was passed down from their fathers and their fathers, rooting all the way back to slavery.
Wow. And
So
so
it's
you were talking earlier about just connecting West African cultures to Gullah Geechee, and that's what I'd love because when we really study all of who we are in the diaspora, there's so many connections that you're just like, wow, especially through food, right? It
yes.
still could be the same thing, but it just migrated and was given a different name. So let me ask you this, do you cook?
I do cook.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
actually a very good cook. Yes.
Okay, very good. All right now. So what name some of the any particular spices that are just really, prominent in Gullah Geechee cuisine?
We use, seasoned salts
Okay,
and um all our peppers. We like more sweet base, so a lot of sugar, which is probably
gotcha.
not the best for us. But yeah, it's a lot of spice, Cajun spices, things
Mhm.
like that. Yeah.
And then so in terms of disconnecting with other Gullah Geechee brothers and sisters, what's that network looking like?
As far as preserving land or the
Yeah,
food,
exactly. Just all of it, especially the cuisine and the culture and the heritage. So I'm sure
yes.
it's there like a nice network to making sure everybody's plugged in, tapped
Oh
in.
yes, we have a very strong network. We're very community oriented.
Hmm.
A lot of our churches are the hubs for our cultural gatherings.
Nice.
Yeah, we do celebrate a lot. We have a lot of festivals and events that we come together and celebrate, and everyone's very close and close knit, and we all know who's related and how many removed from each family and who's who. So we're very connected in the Gullah community.
Wonderful. So through your show, tell us, I'm going to go back to that.
Mhm.
Tell us about the inspiration. And then, or is it just in Alabama or where in other parts of the country could we possibly see you?
Oh, I tour all over.
Okay.
I'm represented by Harwood Management. So
Okay.
most recently, I was in Rochester, and I did
Okay.
a short residency there.
Mhm.
I performed in LA. I
Nice.
performed in South Carolina. Next year, I'll be at the South Carolina Arts Day
Okay.
2026 in Columbia, South Carolina,
Okay.
and I'll be doing a keynote speech and a small performance there. So I perform all over the United States. So
Wonderful. And I'm sure the response is just amazing in terms of people just really learning something new and just learning how they can, support, would you say, from
yes,
coming to the show? What have been some of the like the responses and just what people have walked away feeling?
yes, especially most recently, I performed at a few colleges.
Okay.
And one of them was my alma mater where I went to undergrad,
Okay.
Alabama State University. And the kids are so inquisitive about the culture. A lot of them have heard that, oh, my dad told me that my grandma's from South Carolina and my great grandfather is a Gullah Geechee. So it's so fascinating to see how people from all over the country, even in New York,
Mhm.
a lot of people say, my grandmother is a Gullah Geechee from Georgia or
Mm,
Florida, and they have all these questions about the cuisine. They have all these questions about our customs and beliefs.
right.
So it's always unique to see how we're all tied because we have a thing called kumyas and binyas.
Mm,
Yeah, so the kumyas are people who have migrated out north and west throughout the
okay.
country through generations, and they find out their roots are rooted back to South Carolina and Georgia, North and South Carolina and Florida.
Wonderful. Now, as you're connecting with the younger generations, are you seeing that that has changed in terms of maybe the embarrassment or the wanting to fit in more? Because I am noticing, there's been a wave, I feel, where people are embracing who they are, and really, and even the young ones too, right? So this whole thing
Yes.
of having to assimilate and all of that. So are you seeing younger generation of Gullah Geechee saying, you know what, we're gonna not do that and we're gonna move, keep moving on and keep things alive.
Yeah, I see that a lot, especially because people like myself and other performers, it really comes through education.
Okay.
Because a lot of times they don't know the history and the resilience of our ancestors.
Right.
So when we teach them how we came here and we worked as slaves on these lands, isolated, and
Mhm.
our forefathers ended up buying those same lands that we were enslaved on and
Mhm.
passed it down through generations. That's why we live where we live, and that's why your grandmother's house is where your grandmother's house is, and she was able to pass down this lands to you. And I think once the younger generations hear that resilience is
Mhm.
something to be proud of,
Yeah.
Because a lot of time, especially a lot of African Americans, we only know that we were slaves and we were under the white man's foot.
Hmm.
So a lot of times when they hear that, no, we were actually resilient and we did resist and we did overcome with such pride and grace, it makes us proud of who we are, and we realize how unique our experience is.
Wonderful. Now, how can we, those that are not part of the Gullah Geechee community, how can we support, especially what's going on? Is there anything that we can do?
Yes, and that's the main thing I reached out to you is just being aware is the
Mhm.
first thing. Just being aware of what's happening so that we can have people side with us. People can use whatever resources they have, whether you want to donate, whether you want to send a letter in, um, follow our Facebook pages and share our posts to get the word out so it can get to the right person.
Okay.
Just anything possible. Just keeping the word out and spreading awareness.
Right, exactly. Now, is there anything, so obviously developers come and then there's that fight that ensues. But is it like they're relentless in terms of just constant, 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 would you say?
Yes, it's a constant fight because when money speaks loud,
Yes.
so when they come with the dollars, it makes city council say, maybe we can, overturn this residential property and make it a commercial one for you this time. But
Right.
over time it eats up at our land and we don't have anywhere to go.
Right,
And
exactly.
it's
And then speaking of and then on top of that, I was mentioning earlier climate change, right? So as you're growing your food, you're fishing, all of this, that, you're dealing with that as well, right? Of what's going
Mhm.
on, that is interfering with your food and just livelihoods and things like that. So can you speak anything to sort of any noticeable things around climate change, meaning, when you guys used to grow certain foods during, as all of us, your growing seasons, your food seasons, just has that become more challenging?
Yes, because especially like for example, if a developer comes and builds a Walmart
Mhm. Mm,
on St. Helena Island. The
mhm.
younger generations, they have no interest in learning how to fish
Yeah.
or learning how to grow vegetables when they can just go up the street to Walmart. So that
Mhm.
erases the culture in that way. When developers come and build a private golf course and they're building turf, to make the grounds for the golf course. That
Mhm.
pollutes the waters and that discourages the elders who do fish to
Yeah.
not fish because it's not healthy or it affects our health, which car drives us back to the Walmart, for example.
Right.
So it affects our way of life and our traditions in every way possible. And
Wow.
it takes away the land that we have to hunt and to fish. Because
Absolutely.
when they build these private resorts and beaches, they put gates up that says no trespassing. And we're not allowed to go fish when in the areas that we would normally go.
Wow.
So yeah.
It's just like you said, it never ends. It never ends. I
Yes.
want to touch a few minutes on the language.
Hmm.
And that's so important of just keeping that alive, and especially I know, I've run into so many who, you know, parents are Hispanic or whatever the case may be, and the language wasn't passed down, right? Whether is, I want you to learn English or quote unquote, I know the Queen's English or whatever the case may be. But are there schools that are keeping the language alive? How is that keeping going? So there's not maybe just with your generation and back, but we want to make sure it's your generation and forward.
And that's kind of the part of what I'm standing for now is to
Okay.
keep educating and promoting the speech of Gullah Geechee language.
Hmm.
There isn't really a school
Okay.
where we're learning. Now of course, if you go in the islands in different areas in the Gullah community, we're all still speaking Gullah.
Okay. Good.
But as the generations go by, they are more
Get younger.
influenced to.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not as upheld as I would like it to be, or
Okay.
as it was when I was younger.
Got any thoughts around that of something you may be brewing or just
Yes, like I have some. If you want to follow me on my social media platform, anybody, my name is Zabriel Gullah Geechee or at Gullah Geechee Music on Instagram. I have a lot of different reels where I teach some Gullah Geechee words and
nice?
some Gullah Geechee. In my show, I incorporate a lot of Gullah Geechee language.
Okay.
You can find that. I have a full recording on YouTube. I have a live recorded album of the one I did in New York
Mhm.
on all streaming platforms. So I'm constantly trying to find ways to educate the youth and explain to them where the words came from and why we use it.
Mhm.
And
I
they
love
love to, yeah, they love to share it and say, oh yeah, I do say that word a lot. So yeah.
I love that. It reminds me of someone, a Haitian chef, Nadaj, and she does like daily Haitian Creole words, and she just has fun with it. So when you said that in
Wow.
terms of she used Instagram as well, and she just has fun teaching what our Creole Haitian Creole word of the day is, and so we always look forward to trying to learn something new daily. So
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that going. I'm gonna keep doing a lot more of those.
absolutely.
It's
So
very important.
it really is. It really is. So Zabriel, we're winding down 2025. What is on, the books for you for this year and then going into 2026?
Yeah, so this year, I've done a lot of performing. My performance schedule usually kicks up in the springtime.
Okay.
So right now, I'm teaching. I do private voice,
Okay.
and I do some gigs wherever I pick up. I'm a part of like different bands and things. I perform music, different bands I'm a part of. But in
Mhm.
the spring, I have a lot of speaking engagements. I'm going to be doing more schools and universities. I'm trying to do like a HBCU tour.
Okay.
So I'm trying to knock down as many HBCUs as I can. But it's sometimes it's a little difficult. A
Mhm.
lot of schools don't have the budgets.
Right.
So but we're gonna make it work. I'm gonna keep going out. I'm still doing classical music.
Okay.
So I'll be doing Carnegie Hall in May. It'll be my third year in a row doing Carnegie Hall, and I have some other.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I have some other engagements coming up that we're finalizing. So I have a busy year next year coming
Okay.
up.
Well, congratulations. We love being booked and busy.
I know, right? Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Well, as we sort of wrap this up, let's talk about again action that we can take. So let's talk about if you can give us the groups and where how we can get tapped in again via social media and YouTube so that we can follow
Yeah.
and we can support.
Well, first you can follow me at Zabriel Rivers or Zabriel Gullah Geechee on all social media platforms. I would advise to follow the Gullah Geechee Corridor page
Okay.
so you can keep abreast of different things that we're fighting for in court and with our city council, especially as in relation to land preservation.
Mhm, mhm.
I would also just keep passing down the word of the Gullah Geechee people because a lot of people don't know. A lot of
Right.
people don't even know that we exist.
Right.
So just keeping the stories alive as I'm doing sharing stories, keeping our interest, teaching the language. If you would like to, if you can donate to different groups, the Gullah Geechee Corridor, you can find that there, gullahgeecheecorridor.com, for different groups and organizations to donate to help the fight, the court costs and fees and things that come up, and keep sharing posts, researching your family history, talking to grandmom, talking to granddad.
Yes, preserving those stories. Got to.
Yes. And connecting with who you are and where your family comes from and learning. And education is most important.
Mhm,
There are a
mhm.
lot of books about the Gullah Geechee people. There are a lot of books about our ancestors starting from slavery on down and even before. So that's a key factor.
Wonderful. So awareness, knowledge, and then just really empowering as much as so amplification is definitely the key.
Yes. And hopefully the message will fall into the right ears and it'll make that fight, more viable for us.
Wonderful. Well, Zabriel, thank you so much. And I see the sun is popping. I got my window right there.
I know. Yeah, I forgot you were like a little couple hours behind
I know, right? So
because it's
it's
dark
given
here.
us it's almost 4 o'clock. And so I always get the sun at this time of day. I didn't realize it was that bright. So sorry about that. But
No, you're
anyway, but
good.
thank you for this conversation. I really appreciate it and very passionate of continuing to learn. I know my family has gone to Hilton Head. I haven't been able to join them in the past.
Yes.
But
Beautiful island.
yes, yes. And then I know we, are friends with Gina Keepers Willis, who's Gullah Geechee down there in Savannah. So she's doing her part also from
Yeah.
Helena Island. So, we're definitely an ally here and doing what we can to keep the culture, the history, and the language alive. So,
Yes. Thank you so much for having me and for the invitation and for hearing my proposal to you about what we're fighting for within our
absolutely.
community and putting another voice, an amplified voice to our situation so that people can hear about us and help us in any way that they can. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. I'm happy to help. Thank you so much and continued success to you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye.